Hello, besties. Good evening. It's January 6th of 2023. And I'm usually on a Friday night have a guest, but tonight is a very special edition of my podcast because I'm going to go over all the details of Shah's sentencing. I'm talking about every single detail, including what she wore to the courtroom. Because let's be honest, reality TV stars have stylists, so nothing is by coincidence. Nothing is a mistake. There's always a statement. And I noticed a couple of things that she was wearing that kind of gave me a hint of what she was trying to say. So, to start the show, I want you to remember that everything that I speak on my podcast is my opinion. Um, I'm not going to hold back my feelings and how I've been following the story. So, um, sometimes you guys might not agree with me. So I'm welcoming you all to leave your comments on my Twitter or my Instagram or here on the live chat on YouTube. To start, those who were watching Gensha arriving to her sentencing, you guys noticed one thing, or at least I noticed one thing. She was holding a Gucci little handbag, like a clutch, and it was a leopard print Gucci bag. Now, if you guys remember when she was at first arrested, she was wearing a high boot leopard print shoe. I'm still wondering, and I feel like this is Jen Shah's way of saying, this is a show for me. So I'm gonna dress this way. I'm gonna give a little throwback to when I got arrested with the little leopard print item. Maybe she was thinking she was going into like fight for her life, like a leopard, going into hunting mode. But honestly, you guys, there even the way that she was dressed and the way she was walking into the courtroom, I didn't get a sense of accountability for her actions or any remorse for what she was doing in the past. It was reported that the courtroom was so packed that they had to open a second courtroom with an inner circuit streaming, meaning like they were watching a streaming that was only for people within the courtroom. That says a lot about the power of TV. I mean, Jen Shah is a very public figure. It's a housewife on Bravo TV. So I'm guessing the court was not ready for the amount of either support or people just being curious about what she was gonna say, and they decided to open a second one. I do believe, you guys, that a lot of the people going for her to support her either didn't read the victims' statements or didn't watch the video that was posted recently with some of the victims, which I'm going to name on the show because I want people to put faces to the victims. Sometimes we always talk about victims in general, and yes, we feel like, oh my gosh, this happened to them. But when we put a face to the victim and a name to the victim, it feels more personal. And I want to start with that. I watched this video this morning about like 20 times. I'm not lying. I sat down and I put myself through this video because sometimes as human we want to give the criminal the benefit of a doubt. We always want to give that person like the sympathy. But we forget that the action that these people committed affected people's life to the point of even dying from stress. It's truly despicable. I was watching the video, and the first person that they mentioned on the video, one of the victims, was Mariana Eliad. She was 82 years old. And after being scammed out of $92,000, she passed away since. So she never got that money back. And people are going to say, yeah, she's dead. She's not going to take that money to anywhere she's going. But remember, these are all people. People who worked their whole entire life to have what they have. And for them, it's not only the money, the value of the money, but the value of their lives. They worked so hard their whole entire life for this person in her circle of despicable monsters to come and take everything from them. It's heartbreaking. Elderly people take this as a they attacked their source of pride, which is accumulating something, making something out of their lives. That was one of the victims. The family says, like, at least they're happy that she finally joined her husband. I don't know, you guys. It's just really hard to even fathom the idea that you try to see the silver lining at knowing that your family member lost everything. $92,000 is a lot of money, you guys. For people who worked so hard, for people who lived out of Social Security, that is a lot of money. That's what we need to think about in this moment. We have to put facts and numbers and faces so we understand how severe the damage the Jen Shah and the people that was working for her did to these people. You know, um, the next victim that is also named in this video, her name is Mary Rosalind, and she is 78 years old. She was scammed out of $62,000. She lost her house because of this. And she moved back to her hometown because she couldn't afford to own a house anymore. She was 78 years old, you guys, and scammed out of $62,000. The next victim, this one breaks my heart because this is a younger person. Her name is Jennifer, and she's a single mother of 4 kids. All she wanted to do was to own a business to provide to her family. So she took the little savings she had. She had $90,000. These are people who live check to check, you guys. A single mother with 4 kids took out the little saving that she had, the $9,000, invested in this freaking scam with the dream of owning a business, and they took everything from her. She had to move from a house to a little apartment and take on a third job to be able to support her family. These are real stories, you guys. And like this, there are over 200 stories behind this scam. This is just 3 out of like over 200 stories. Imagine that this is one of your family members. Imagine this is one of the people that you love that happened to this. Because they attack the elderly because they know that they are not technically savvy. They're easily tricked into believing that there is a possibility of investment. So this is planned. This is planned. The oh God. This this the sentencing started half an hour late. It started at 10:30, And one of the first statements from Jen Shah's lawyer was saying that, that she was a hardworking person and that she um, is so embarrassed for what she's done, and they lost the money, the money they worked hard in the life and everything, but she never spoke to the victims. Yeah, because she had people talking to them, obviously. And the judge immediately said that she never spoke to them because she was so high up in the conspiracy pyramid, which is true. It's true. Jen Shah was the head of the pyramid. Everybody else who was under her management were the one doing this, but under her orders. And they have all the emails and the text messages where they were communicating with her, telling her that several clients were calling, crying, asking for their money back because they were suffering. Their money would kept coming out of their bank account with no result. And you know what Jen Shah kept saying? She was making a mockery of their pain. She was laughing at people's pain. She was telling her employees or whatever, you know what? Did you take care of that woman that keeps calling crying? So she was well aware of the damage that she was doing. It's truly sad that a society, networks like Bravo, who have so much power and money to do the proper investigation of an HR, you know, paperwork to find people for their shows and talent. And how come they didn't sniff 1 ounce of what Jen Shah was doing? I don't know, you guys. I don't know. To me, it's very suspicious, and it's really sad because this is not the first time that we see victims having to watch somebody who stole their money living a larger than life lifestyle. It's not the first time. We know that. We we still talk about the other one, aka Tom Girardi and Erica Jane. On the sentencing too as well, it's very important to notice that the judge was focusing a lot on bringing real facts. Like the judge was not letting Jen Shah's lawyer breathe. And honestly, I'm still wondering what the lawyer was doing, because a lot of the stuff that the lawyer was saying were actually damaging to Jen Shah, even though I'm not sure if anything that that person said actually helped with the outcome, but it did push a lot of information that most people did not know. For example, the judge made sure to remind people that Jen Shah from the show is not the person that they are judging. They are judging the actual individual. And a lot of the activity that Jen Shah said and did on the show was being watched. And one of the things that actually got the system very upset was her tagline on the second season. Like, the only thing that I'm guilty is being shamazing. They found that to be a mockery of the justice system. And it's true, it seems like she did not care. You know, also, Judge Steen reminded everybody that the process of investigation that was happened way before, and the crimes that were committed were being done way before the Jen Shah went on Salt Lake City as a housewife, and she mentioned, the judge said, that what what they were trying to say, that the hunger for trinkets predates the show. And the lawyer said yes, she was lost. And in July, she said the information from the victims. She saw the info from the victims and she pled guilty. So, what we're learning here, you guys, is that Jen Shah, knowing that she was doing all this stuff, went on the show and still was pushing this image of living larger than life and having it all and not caring about anything. And then she finally felt guilty after she was arrested and she learned the names of the victims once again. It seems like she didn't even care enough for these people about the investments to even know their names. Ah, another moment that it really bothered me a lot was the fact that Jen Shah's lawyer was trying to paint her company as a good company, literally saying that Mrs. Shah looked at the good thing her company was doing. To which the judge replied saying, what good thing were telemarketers doing, calling elderly people, taking advantage of their lack of computer skill, like I said before, they're not technologically savvy, selling businesses opportunities and maxing out their credit cards. I'm not this you can make this up. How the hell a lawyer is trying to sell the idea that a company that it was scamming elderly people was doing any good in any level, if the actual mission of the company was literally stealing financial information from these victims to take their money? There was no businesses being created with this money. They will launder the money to Kosovo and other banks overseas. Jen Shah, even on the show, she has been playing this card that she immigrated from Hawaii, which, what? Hawaii is part of America. So you're not an immigrant. You are literally an American born if you are from Hawaii. So I do not understand how this is even mentioned during the sentencing. One of the parts when Jen Shah was asked to speak um, was, to speak about her side, and she said that she didn't want to speak as Jen Shah from the show because that's a reality TV star that has nothing to do with her in real life. That even her tagline, the Shamazing, was written for her. Um, yes, we know that, Jen Shah. We know that. Like, please. We as viewers know that half of the stuff in the show are somehow produced, either by the own housewife or by the producers. We know that. We understand how reality TV works. But to go to the extent to say that your behavior on the show does not reflect an ounce of your reality is a little bit of a stretch. She also mentioned that she is an immigrant from Tonga in Hawaii, The elderly command the most respect, and she's also the family's matriarch. The word elderly kept coming out of their side as if being from Hawaii and respecting the elderly, because that is literally, they call it elderly land or something like that, has nothing to do with what was happening. She also said that she wanted to mention the victims, but she couldn't say it. She was working on, raising money for restitution. She was asked if she was still a cast member, and she said yes. Which, for my understanding, you guys, she was fired by Bravo right after pled guilty. How she said that she was still a cast member? Are we having an? Is Andy having the last interview before she goes to jail? I want to know that, because if she's still working for Bravo, where was Andy on all this stuff? Where's Andy? He should be outside waiting with a microphone to ask the questions too that we as viewer want answers. This was the time for him to have his moment. He wants to be a serious journalist, and this was his opportunity. Allegedly, Jen Shah is still a cast member of the show, so she's still connected to Bravo. So Andy, you lost the opportunity to have your moment. The judge made a point too. The judge made a point. She was making a mockery of the whole system when she sold merchandises based on this case. The free Shah merchandise that so many people bought. I mean, people, you got scammed by a scammer that you support. And honestly, you guys, if you are still what's it called, the Gen Shah fans, whatever, the Shah squad, I don't know what to say. You have to be a very special kind of people to still support somebody who did all this. And there is plenty evidence that she was behind all this stuff. There is plenty evidence that she did not care for the victims. That's the sad part of the situation. I do understand that there is a lot of people out there, a lot of podcasters and stuff, who are doing their amazing job to break down the case with the legal terms, which I do not speak legality language. I'm not a lawyer. My mom is a lawyer. I'm not interested on the legal terms as much as she is, because she's a lawyer. But to me, what is the most important on this whole entire mess are the victims. Are they getting their money back? That's the question. Because obviously, we don't know. I mean, the judge is asking if she's working on something, and she says yes, and then they ask if she's still a cast member. Are they asking money from her paycheck? Are they taking her paycheck away? Are they freezing her accounts? Are they asking Coach Shah to also shell some money, because he makes over $700,000 a year? So they didn't need the money. James Shah could easily have a job making 200,000 a year plus the 700,000 from Kosha, and they could have a nice life without having to steal money from elderly people. But that's what it's called greed. That's what greed is all about. This level of greed is really sickening, you guys. And to have people like this on our favorite shows is really upsetting. As Bravo viewers, we have to be mindful of who we support and what level of support we have, because it's okay to have some sympathy in some level for somebody. But if this person is damaging the life of humans on purpose, we need to consider those all this. I mean, we need to make sure that we take this in consideration and understand that they can be our faves, but if they're doing some shitty ass stuff like this, we need to speak up as viewers. And it doesn't have to get nasty. We don't have to call them names or bully them or anything. We don't have to use bully tactics, but we need to enlighten people into realizing that action have consequences. And the actions of Jen Shah had consequences. And I'm not talking about her going to jail. I'm talking about her stealing money from elderly who lost their home, like I mentioned before. I read those names for a reason. I read their names because they need a voice. I read their name because they need people to know that they are real, that they have a face, and they went through a struggle, and they still living in the struggle because this woman took their money so she could spend it in fake bags or Botox or flying around the world or having big parties and lavish parties on a show while they're losing their homes. And if you're not upset about this, if you don't get upset listening to this, I mean, wake up, touch the grass. Because what happened to these people can happen to any of us. Hi, Jenny. I see you. What happened to these people can happen to any of us, to any of our loved ones. We need to be very aware where we put our trust on. Another piece of detail that I was very, very like shocked by is the fact that Jen Shah was laughing at her victim. She was laughing. She literally said, "Did you get her to stop crying?" When she was talking about an 80-year-old woman. She told people how to do it. She knew it was a fraud. And in no, there's not a sense of remorse on her side. They were saying, the government was saying, that when they were going through the emails and the text messages and all the evidence, not one time they found an ounce of remorse of what they were doing to these people. Everybody who was investigated, everybody who helped the investigation, they all agreed that she was the boss, that she was the head of the investigation. It's it baffles me the level of lack of humanity that somebody can have just for the sake of money. We got to the point where they were using any excuse to lower her sentencing. I'm talking about, her team. They were asking for 36 months, which is 3 years. That is an insult to those who suffer under this scam. The judge gave Jen Shah a sentencing of 6 years and a half. 6 years and a half, you guys. I don't know how you feel about that, but I do have my feelings. 78 months. That is a slap in the wrist. It's a slap in the hand. That is not a real sentencing for somebody who was dealing and leading a huge scam. She did get 5 years of probation after the 6 years and a half. She's also asking for a prison in Texas with RDAP and closest minimum security. The judge didn't promise a specific facility, but it did say that it was going to be in the Texas region. And Jen Shah has to surrender to prison on February 17th, 2023. That's right after Valentine's Day. So she better get some time with her husband. I hope she stops tweeting and caring for the show at least for the next month and focus on her family. Because the only people that I really feel bad on Jen Shah's camp are her kids. They were present today in the courtroom, seeing her mother being sentenced to jail, to prison for wire fraud. And that is an awful situation to live as a kid. And knowing that your mom is going to jail and you are going to miss a lot of their growing up and their life experiences. Dances, graduation, college. It sucks as a kid. So I feel bad for them. My only ounce of sympathy for the Shah camp goes to her kids. Not even Coach Shah, because he's an adult. He can deal. Especially after all this information that came out that said that Jen Shah was having an affair with somebody and the woman had a restraining order towards her. So I I think that Coach Shah is going to be just fine. He has a job that makes a really good chunk of money. And I don't think Coach Shah was directly involved on this. I don't think he's the type of person who will be directly involved in this type of scam. He seems like a very um, fair person. I mean, you always see his demeanor on the show. He's very, you know, I never see him break his character on the show. So I think he'll be fine. I do have a feeling that maybe, just maybe, he was giving her advice about the business without knowing what the business was about, based on some of the emails that were released during this process, where he kind of was mentioned by Jen Shah. But the kids, whew, Lord, that is a hard one. That is a hard one. So, like I said before, she was sentenced to 6 years and a half. She has to surrender to prison on February 17th, 2023. There is also chances that she served a total of 5 years and a half, 5 years. Because if you think about it, usually people serve based on the good behavior, 85% of their sentencing on federal cases. Um, Plus, she's asking for this RDAP, which is a program that if you do it, it also help you to knock down some month or almost a year from your sentencing. So she could be free before um, the autumn of 2028, which is supposed to be the 6 years and a half. But when she is free from prison, she is coming out with a probation of 5 years. And that one is also tricky, you guys. That's another one that I wanted to talk about. Because when I say I do not think the 6 years and a half was fair, she deserved more. Because people who were in a lower level of involvement got more than 6 years and a half. And Jen Shah is named as the headmaster of this whole entire machine, all this scam machine. But on the flip side, having 5 years probation is almost like 11 years total of the whole entire sentencing, which means that if she makes one little mistake, she's back in the clink clink for like 5 more years or so. I do believe that the judge was a little soft on the time that it was given to Jen Shah. 6 years and a half is not enough for the level of criminal involvement that she had in this whole entire scam. You know, I was expecting at least 10, between 8 and 10 years. Erin just mentioned one thing. I have this message right here. I'm gonna read it for you guys. Erin said, "I think she got less time because she's paying more back than anyone else." That could be a reason. The judge also mentioned that she's done great job with the Tongan community. My question is, what is this money came from? The one that she was using to help the Tongan community? She was doing so good. I mean, it's great. She's helping somebody at least with the money she stole from somebody else. You know? But probation though. We gotta take that in consideration because probations are very tricky. Even being in the wrong place with the wrong company can put you in the clean clean again. When you are in probation, the feds can come and visit you at any time with no warrant or anything. They just come to your home to check that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you're still being under the radar a lot. So after Jen Shah served her 6.5 at least, she still have more time to make sure that she is not committing more crimes. And I hope she learned her lesson. Even though a scammer is always a scammer. Always. They find something to scam people from. Might not be money, but it will be something else. I'm looking forward to see how this next month is for Jen Shah. What do we get to hear from her? Or maybe she's just going to disappear and enjoy her time with her family, which is what she should be doing right now. What about Anna Delvey? This is a question that my friend Jenny Blaze just left here in the little live chat. Well, Anna Delvey, I don't want to go for too long on this one, because I want to keep focused on Jen Shah, but Anna Delvey. Anna Delvey had something very particular happening to her. Anna Delvey scam level was very strategic. And the only reason why I don't feel as bad for I'm not as mad as with Anna Delvey is because Anna Delvey was scamming banks. She did scam some people though. But her main goal was to scam corporations who are literally taking money from citizens. We all know what banks do. We've seen it on the news. People complain about the fees and how banks scam people through fees and overdraft fees and whatever, annual fees on credit cards or interest and whatever. So I don't care for this for her as much when it comes to putting some like justice on it, just because I feel like human lives are not directly impacted more than just a corporation. Anna Delvey's main goal was to take money from banks to open a bar, museum, whatever, in New York City. So that's my take on Anna Delvey. But with Jen Shah, who was actually scamming people from their hard-earned money, I do have an issue with that. A big issue. Huge. Because for people to earn this money, it's come from hard work. Like I said before, I mentioned some of the names. And I want to repeat one name in particular because when I mentioned her name, I didn't mention what she was doing to earn this money. So I'm going to tell you right now what she was doing. She was a teacher for 42 years. Imagine work your entire life as a teacher, which they don't make money. We all know that teachers are really underpaid in a lot of places. You work for 42 years. Mary Roslyn, she is 78 years old, and she was scammed of $62,000. She lost her home, so she had to move back to her hometown to have a life that she can afford. So she was an English teacher for 42 years. Imagine working your whole entire life for somebody to come around and take everything that you work for. I have an issue, a huge issue with that one. Like, I want to show you the photo. If you're watching on YouTube, here it is. So put a face to the victims and you know how you feel. It hits harder. I watched it a couple of times before the sentencing because I wanted to be upset. I wanted to have real feelings for what was happening, not just from the perspective as a Bravo content creator, but as a human being. So that was Jen Shah today, you guys. That was the whole sentencing. She's going for 6 years and a half. She is probably not gonna serve the whole entire time based on, you know, how the system works. She probably gonna end up doing 5. I would say that's my guess, based on behavior on while she's there. If she gets into a prison with RDAP, And I'm gonna be watching for updates until February 17th, 2023, when she has to present herself to a prison in the Texas region. Ah, you guys, this was a heavy one. This is a heavy podcast. I hope that if you listen the whole entire podcast, I want you to get this. I'm not doing this just to bring you the information about Jen Shah. I'm doing this because I also want you to have some understanding of the level of grossness, of disgusting behavior that was happening, that victims had to live through and they still live in, because they were left with nothing. They were left with a mess to clean that they didn't look for. They just wanted to do better with their lives. They just wanted to own something. And I remember I posted on my Twitter, and I'm gonna mention this just without a name. I'm not gonna give a name because I don't want to give platform to ignorance. But somebody came on my Twitter once. I posted something about Jen Shah. I posted about the victim's statements, and somebody has the audacity to comment on Twitter. It's not Jen Shah's fault. It's the victim's fault for trusting them with their money. And that's how I knew that I needed to speak about the victims a little more and bring the attention to those who actually deserve it, who are the victims. Because people out there, Jen Shah fans, still believe that she should be free. I saw so many people making jokes a couple months ago saying that Joe Biden should pardon Jen Shah so she could stay on the show. I take that as a very tacky comment, as a very tacky joke, because you are laughing at victims' pain for the sake of entertainment. Do better. And like I said before, I was not gonna hold my feelings. So if you like it, great. If you don't like it, not my problem. I wanted to be real and honest when it comes down to my opinion on this mess, because the whole Jen Shah mess, even though we got an ending today with the sentencing, which I still believe is not 100% fair based on the level of criminal activity that it was done and that she was leading, we know that the victims are not finding their happy ending just yet. And we don't know if they ever will get anything back. Thank you, you guys, for taking the time to listen to this. And um, I hope you have a great weekend. Obviously, there's more Bravo to come. So, if you liked my podcast and the information that I'm sharing with you, please go to Martinez with Eddie and subscribe to my podcast. Also, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under Martinez with Eddie. I also have my own website, martinezwitheddie.com. But please, please, I really ask you guys to go and subscribe to my podcast and my YouTube, because I want to share my opinion with you guys. And I hope you guys are loving this, because there's more to come, more surprises. Have a great, 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 great weekend. And like I always say, bestie, well, you know it's coming. Bye, besties.